Hey everybody, what is going on? Hexlex here with another Master Duel video for you guys today. So we are taking another look at Adventure Prank-Kids, and specifically we're going to be taking a look at games from our climb up to Diamond. Not Diamond 1, just Diamond in general. Definitely taking my time a lot more on my climb this season. I got up to Diamond, I want to say about a weekend, and you know, between the Duelist Cup going on and just, you know, other stuff in general too, I'm definitely, like I said, just taking a much more casual approach. Plus, it's like, you know, like, yeah, hitting Diamond 1 is nice to be able to say you did it, especially early and all, but honestly, the quality of games once you get to Diamond 1 just tends to drop, and I think it might even be better just for, like, the channel's sake to get more higher quality games if we're playing in an environment where people are just playing more competitively in general, not conceding instantly. Makes it very, very hard to get good games, actually, for videos when you're in Diamond 1 and everyone just concedes constantly, so I'm liking the pace that we're going at this season. Now, if they do decide to add like a, you know, the equivalent of like the ranked, you know, legend mode in Hearthstone, or you know, the master mode in Runeterra, where like there's a rank on top of it, then there's definitely more of an incentive to climb. But I think based on some of the leaks we've got, we might be seeing that, but who knows? In any case, like I said, we're here to talk about Adventure Prank-Kids, like I said, particularly our climb up to Diamond. We're going to take a look at the last few games from that climb. I have adjusted the build a little bit here. You might notice that we're down to 1 Rocksies. We were playing 2 before, and we put Droplets back into the deck. I'm trying to remember actually off the top of my head, what was the other card that I took out for the Rocksies? Well, we'll note it in the deck list below in the description there. I was actually playing 41 cards for a while. I was playing these Droplets and I was still playing 2 Rocksies, but I saw a suggestion in the comments to go down to 1 Rocksies, and I figured I'd try it because, yeah, I have noticed that the second Rocksies like never comes up, and it is definitely the hardest of the Prank-Kids effects to pull off, just because you need the extra resource in hand in order to be able to get the summon there. So we're still running with 3 Dropsies, especially now that we've put Totally Awesome back in the extra deck, and I've been really liking Totally Awesome in the extra. I've actually been using it a lot more lately, I think. Not a lot more lately, but enough more lately than I have in the past that I'm definitely starting to see just what makes it so good. Just having that follow-up Omni Negate for your next turn as you then close out the game, just to make sure that nothing goes wrong as you do, is a very, very invaluable tool. Let's see. Yeah, nothing else has changed too much about the build otherwise. The extra deck is still the same. Again, I wish I could remember off the top of my head that other card I took out, but I don't I don't quite remember. Now, I'm still playing 3 of each Maxx C and Ash. Every now and then I'll see suggestions like, oh, you could go down to like 2C for this build, and I'm like, yeah, I could. I know I could. I'm definitely not disagreeing with that notion. I just really like playing 3 of each C and Ash, and not even just that, but also 1 Nibiru, and just about every single deck if I can. It's just such nice insurance to be able to have. It's the same reason I like sticking down to 40 cards as often as possible, or as close to 40, is that, you know, in a best of 1 format, you need to be able to open hand traps in Disruption. At the end of the day, that you just have to be able to do it in order to stay in the game, both, you know, metaphorically and literally, so that's why I still like playing 3 of each C and Ash, but yeah, I mean, this is still just, you know, in my opinion, the best deck right now, not just in tournaments, but in best of 1. The difference between it and the other decks are not as marked, I think, in best of 1 as they are in tournaments, but this deck's consistency is still definitely very, very valuable on ladders. So anyway, let's go ahead and break down the list here, and then we'll go ahead and take a look at some games. So we are playing 2 Prank-Kids Fansies, 3 Maxx C, 3 Prank-Kids Dropsies, 3 Ash Blossom and Joyous Spring, 2 Prank-Kids Lampsies, 2 Water Enchantress of the Temple, 1 Destiny Hero Celestial, 1 Prank-Kids Rocksies, 1 Destiny Hero Dasher, 1 Wandering Gryphon Rider, 1 Nibiru the Primal Being, 1 Foolish Burial, 2 Diffusion Destiny, 2 Rite of Aramesir, 1 Dracoback the Rideable Dragon, 3 Prank-Kids Place, 1 Prank-Kids Pranks, 1 Fateful Adventure, 2 Called by the Grave, 1 Prank-Kids Pandemonium, 2 Crossout Designator, 2 Forbidden Droplet, and 2 Infinite Impermanence. Down here in the extra, we've got 1 Prank-Kids Rocket Ride, 1 Destiny Hero Destroyer Phoenix Enforcer, 1 Prank-Kids Battle Butler, 1 Totally Awesome, 2 Link Spider, 2 Prank-Kids Meow, 2 Prank-Kids Dodo, 1 Prank-Kids Bow Wow Bark, 1 Predaplant Verte Anaconda, 1 Knightmare Unicorn, 1 Prank-Kids Ripper and Roaster, and then finally 1 Accesscode Talker. Yep, so there's the list. Again, as always, I like to break it down card by card just so everybody knows exactly what is in each iteration of the deck. So now that we've established that, let's go ahead and take a look at some games. Now, for some of these games, like I touched on earlier, I was originally playing 41 cards with 2 Rocksies, so I don't remember if that's ever going to come up in some of those games, but if it does, I just want to let you know that's why that's the case. So now let's take a look at some gameplay. So this first game is going to be against Fluwanderies. I decided to keep a couple of games. I think I have this one and another game against Elderlich as well that go on a bit longer because, you know, it's nice to show, you know, the combo lines so that everyone knows, you know, how to play the deck, but at the same time, it's also good to definitely establish how to play through a longer, more drawn-out game, especially against like a more stun or control type of deck. So you can see this hand is really not that great. You know, we opened pretty much the Water Enchantress as our only real live play. We already had the Fateful Adventure, which definitely doesn't really help at all. I mean, I guess we don't have to discard one of our droplets here. We can just get the Draco back off the token summon. Excuse me, I need to take a sip of water here. And at the very least, we can establish the Gryphon Rider and the droplet to have, you know, some amount of disruption. And of course, equipping the adventure token as well. Okay, so yeah, opponent's going to start with Rabina. I'm definitely going to flip up droplet here. We can just go ahead and send the Draco back, because obviously we can just equip it anyway. You know, it's one of the reasons that droplet I think is so great in this deck right now. I didn't have it for a little while because I you know, kind of didn't have room for it after fitting in like the DPE engine and the adventure engine, but again, I really just wanted to make room for it because it's just good against so many different decks right now, not just this one of course, but also against like, well, pretty much any deck that's playing any amount of adventure stuff, because they'll not only make the Gryphon Rider, but also, of course, whatever they intend to end on as well, which is usually some amount of negates or something. So, yeah, opponent's got the Lancia here. I'm not really concerned about it at all. I really wasn't planning on using this Water Enchantress. I mean, I would have liked to have, you know, thinned out my deck a little bit, but if my opponent wants to use their Lancia to prevent me from thinning the deck by 1 card, I'm totally okay with that. Opponent's going to normal summon Evelyn here. I'm going to use the Ash to negate. I definitely want to make sure they don't get that summon. The search as well, but I mean, we're mainly just trying to make sure they don't get the extra summon here, because, yeah, I don't know if they have, yeah, no, okay, no, the Rabina got put in the graveyard, that's right, because they used the Lancia. That's, again, another reason I don't know that the Lancia was super great. Like, all they kept me from doing was searching the Rite of Aramesir, which doesn't do anything because I already have the adventure token on the board anyway, so... yeah, here I'm going to use the Draco back on the back row to either force it or just get rid of it. It isn't going to end up being a Dreaming Town. Opponent's going to go for Rabina, but fortunately, you know, if we open up a dead hand, I guess the nice thing is that that means we're not drawing any amount of Prank-Kids stuff, which means we're almost assuredly drawing enough disruption to make sure the opponent isn't going to be able to do anything either. That's the case with these droplets, that Ash, and now the Imperm that we've drawn as well. It's funny because, like, I almost want to call this a stalemate kind of a scenario, but it's really not. You can see our opponent's really low on resources, and we've still got the Gryphon Rider. We haven't had to use that. We've had that in our back pocket kind of this whole time. Just consistently being able to beat down the opponent here. So as you can see, yeah, the opponent just kind of concedes, quote-unquote, at this point by normal summoning the Maxx and then giving it back to me. So, yeah, as you can see, the adventure engine, like, in its own right, I mean, this is just a testament to how powerful it is, period. Like, it doesn't even have to be the main focus of your deck to be your win conditions sometimes. And it's not like our opponent had dead draws. They had multiple Rabinas, they had the Eaglin, they had, you know, they had stuff to do, but again, it's just the strength of this deck that even when you're not drawing your combo pieces, which is, given that you can combo with one Prank-Kid just about any amount of Prank-Kids cards, that means you're just you're drawing all of your Disruption, or your Adventure Engine, or your DPE. There's like very, very rarely a hand where you have nothing to do with this deck, which definitely is what makes it so powerful, what makes it so consistent, and what makes it a tier 1 deck. So, alright. Let's go ahead and take a look at the next game. Alright, next duel is going to be against the Mirror. It looks like instead of playing droplets and some amount of other cards I can tell at a glance, they are actually opting to have some interesting text like a Lancia, like a Kaiju. What else did I see? That was kind of... Oh, they're playing Thunder Dragon Fusion, which I would like to fit in this deck ideally, but I don't have quite enough room for it. And I don't think it's super essential with this iteration of the deck. It was definitely better before when Prank-Kids were, you know, relying on their own engine to do things. Just kind of like how a second Battle Butler was better before. But now it's not only just a lack of room that we can't, that we don't use the second Butler with the Thunder Dragon Fusion, but we also just have other things to be doing. So, once again, we did open that great of a hand, but fortunately it doesn't look like our opponent did either, as, again, Adventure Pranks and Not Great Hands still at least result in a DPE. Other decks and Not Great Hands kind of result, well, I mean, I guess I'm playing the mirror, so I wonder what 5 cards my opponent could have possibly opened where they don't make any play at all and they just pass it. They don't even set anything. That's actually really interesting to think about. So in any case here, yeah, I'm going to definitely use my adventure engine here after top decking the Water Enchantress. And then I'm more than willing to discard this Prank-Kids Pandemonium because, you know, without an actual Prank-Kid, obviously I can't do anything with it, but it's more than just that. Like, you know, the fact that I've got the DPE and the adventure stuff out, that's already a lot of damage, and I already suspect my opponent's not going to be able to do much because they just passed without doing anything at all. And the only play I'm making puts up an Omni Negate. Now, they could have had, like, a Maxx or something, but, like, you know, as always, as ever, you can't just, like, not make plays because your opponent might have the hand trap or might have the piece of disruption. It's just not how you can play the game. So, I feel a little bit reassured, too, knowing that if everything somehow goes completely wrong here, I still got the Droplet face down, and then as my, like, you know, Scorched Earth approach, I guess, I have the Nibiru as well, in case things start to go horribly, horribly wrong. But, I mean, we're already in a really good position here. This is I wanted to lead off with these games here just because I wanted to show that, you know, this deck isn't just about the Prank-Kids line. I mean, of course, it is a Prank-Kids deck, but these games really do show the testament of just how powerful Adventure and DPE are. Just being able to literally win games on their own. Oh yeah, here the opponent drops a Kaiju and then the Imperm and then a Prank Kid, and it's like, whoa, okay, so yeah, clearly they were just waiting for a Prank Kid to get started. That's honestly also kind of a reason I just want to stop and talk about this too real quick. But I suspect my opponent's hand was dead because they had a lot of stuff like, you know, Imperm and a random Kaiju and, like, maybe some of that other tech that they were playing just clogging up their hand. That's why, so there's multiple reasons when I make my builds why I like to go for, you know, kind of like the quote-unquote, not standard. Well, I guess I do kind of tend to go for standard builds. One, because I like to show off that to you guys as an audience, just so that anyone who may be unfamiliar with this deck isn't, you know, doesn't see like a weird tech and think it's mandatory or something like that. But even that aside, I personally just tend to like playing variants of decks that are like that are more standard as opposed to tech heavy, because I really feel consistency is just the most important thing to have. It's again why I like playing, you know, 3 of each sea and Ash. It's why I like sticking as close to 40 cards as possible, is that you know, you want to be able to consistently make your plays across the long span of many games. And that, I feel, goes regardless of whether you're playing in a tournament or playing on best of one. It actually matters a little less in best of one, where you can change up your deck in any given moment. You can, you know, if you have a cute tech you want to try, you know, definitely feel free to do so. By all means, don't let me convince you otherwise if you really do want to do it. But I'm just saying why I personally prefer to play the variants that I tend to prefer. So looks like the opponent's going for a fairly standard, like, 1 Prank Kid line here. Again, yeah, this is just very standard stuff. They are going to be able to sneak in this Dracoback on the Prank-Kids token, so definitely kudos to my opponent on that. Yeah, I'm kind of starting to see what their hand must have looked like if it was that dead, right? It must have been like Dracoback, Imperm, Kaiju, maybe like the Prank-Kids. Well, no, they searched the Prank-Kids Pranks. This Thunder Dragon Fusion was probably one of those cards, so that's 4. Although it is going to let them make the Battle Butler on this turn, to be fair. That is actually the main draw of having Thunder Dragon Fusion, is even if you're only playing 1 Battle Butler, is to be able to just make it in the midst of your combo if you're going second like this. Or if your combo gets disrupted and you want to make it later on. Obviously, that's the other reason. And yeah, so we did end up using our Scorched Earth method of Nibiru here. I'm just going to drop a token there for our opponent. It might look weird that I put it in attack mode because the Nibiru token pretty much always goes in defense mode, but because it was main phase 2 and because I have a Forbidden Droplet face down, I just wanted to make sure I didn't leave myself in a scenario where I wasn't able to get rid of the token because it was in defense mode. I can't really think of a scenario where I could even get a monster with, what would that be, more than 4250 attack points, but I mean, you know, who knows, right? It could, well, actually, Accesscode Talker. So yeah, there's very much, well, to be fair, Accesscode could pop the token, but I mean, there's still a world where it matters. So I just want to be able to play around that scenario if possible. Again, it was main phase 2, so it doesn't really matter the position of the token in that case. And yeah, so here I'll use the Fateful Adventure to get the Surge for the Water Enchantress. Opponent flips up the Crossout. I actually have no idea why they did. Maybe they just didn't have... Oh no, they want to keep the card out of my hand for Rocksies, so I couldn't search. No, that's right. But of course I have the Destiny Hero Celestial here as well, so that's right. I used the Water Enchantress as bait, and that was the thing I was confused about. I actually should have looked at the deck profile. I don't know if my opponent is playing the DPE engine or not. They might not be. That might be how they have room for so much check, is that they're not playing the DPE line. And that might also explain why, because I wondered mid-game, I was like, why would you negate Water Enchantress there when I very clearly have the Celestial set up in the graveyard? Like, I would obviously rather have the draw 2 than the search off the... But I'm thinking now, maybe they're not playing DPE. Of course I looked at the deck list, I didn't even think to check, but of course now I'm thinking maybe they're not playing DPE at all, and so they didn't have the option to negate Celestial with the Crossout Designator. Yeah, but here we can see the power of making Totally Awesome. I don't think I'll need it here, but my opponent's got enough cards in hand that I still definitely want to make it here. And then from this point, we can just use the Knightmare Unicorn, get rid of this token, and now either of our monsters can battle for lethal. I'll start with the Totally Awesome just in case I do end up having to use it, but does not seem like that's going to be the case here, as we're able to secure the game. So yeah, I just wanted to show another kind of less than conventional opening and how we play around it. The opponent had a less than conventional opening as well, but I definitely think that theirs might have been contributed by some amount of tech there. Again, there's nothing wrong with playing that kind of tech if you want to, but you do run the risk of, you know, lesser quality hands, I guess, if you do. So all right, let's go and take a look at the next game. Alright, next game is another game against Flouanderies. Yeah, I thought that I only kept one game against Flouanderies, but I was looking just now, and I think I kept 3. And I played a game, I kept a game against Eldritch. I think my plan was just looking at this, I must have been like, oh, we can do, probably the title of this video is going to be something to the effect of like playing against stun decks with Prank-Kids or something like that. But anyway, that's just, you know, that's more me talking to myself about video production stuff. But yeah, here we get to do the, oh, I actually screwed up the Fateful Adventure here. You're supposed to save that. You're not supposed to use that when I summon the Dropsies like I do here, but when you use the Meow Meow Moo to chain block. But since I accidentally use it when I summon Dropsies, I might as well get the Gryphon Rider out now before I make Meow Meow Moo, so that way if my opponent's got an Ash, I can negate it with the Gryphon Rider, which wouldn't be ideal. Again, ideally we would have chain blocked and, well, we probably would have had to use the Gryphon Rider on an Ash later, even if that was the case, but it doesn't seem like my opponent's got it here, so we can definitely be grateful for that. Now we can continue with the kind of the standard one Prank Kid line, with a, you know, the protection of the adventure line on top of it. Gonna have to banish the Nibiru here off the Prank-Kids Rocksies. It is a little unfortunate that we drew the Rocksies because ideally that card... Oh, no, duh, because we opened Rocksies, we're doing the 2 Prank-Kids lines. What am I saying? The 1 Prank-Kid line, jeez. Yeah, no, we're going to do the 2 Prank-Kids lines here in addition to opening the Adventure Engine, which means we're going to end on our opponent's turn, assuming we don't get interrupted at all. We're going to end up with a Ripborn Roaster, a Battle Butler, the Adventure Token, and the Gryphon Rider, and then, of course, 2 Prank-Kids that we search off the Fusion as well. But yeah, we are going to have to banish the Nibiru off the Rocksies here. That's fine, though. Definitely don't want a Nibiru anyway against a board like this, or with a board like this on our side. So, yep, now here we can link these 2 away into the Ripborn Roaster. If you want to see a more you know, step-by-step detailed breakdown of how this combo works, definitely feel free to check out the description where you'll find a link to my combo guide for Prank-Kids. I should actually update it to include the adventure line, excuse me. Sorry about that, yeah. At the time that I made it, it was like a little bit before the adventure line came out, and I mean, the Prank-Kids combos themselves are definitely still relevant, but there are slightly different things now that the adventure engine and DPE are in, so yeah, I should probably actually now that I'm thinking about it, I should almost definitely redo that probably in the near future here. Yeah, definitely let me know in the comments if that's something you want to see is an updated version of that. I think I've actually seen some comments asking for it already, but as always, I'm very interested in getting your guys' feedback, as in a lot of ways I consider this more, you know, our channel than my channel, so. But yeah, like I said here, we're going to end on Ripborn Roaster, Battle Butler, 2 Prank-Kids Adventure Token, and the Gryphon Rider by the time our opponent is really able to do anything. And we've even got the Maxx as well. Of course, we're playing against Flouanderies, so that doesn't, you know, matter at all, but definitely still nice to have here. And all these disruptions are very relevant against a deck like Flouanderies. Like here, they're going to get the Flaunderies and Magnificent Map. I'm just going to use my Rip Roaring Roaster against it, just sacking it. I think that's totally worth it here. Yeah, just to make sure they don't have like too many, you know, fancy plays or anything. They're going to end up having another map, which is, you know, it happens, but at the very least now I know that, like, you know, less of their hand is live draws. The Battle Butler, and the reason I didn't use the Meow Meow Moo for the Rip Roaring Roaster, why I was so willing to distribute it right away, is that, you know, the Battle Butler I think is going to be what's really important, especially against a setup like this where they have the map and the Eaglin. Using the Battle Butler, I want to use it now when the Robina's summoned. But remember, Battle Butler doesn't negate any effects, obviously it only destroys, so the opponent is still going to get another normal summon, and it's not hard for there to be a world where they have, like, you know, 2 more small birds in hand and they can just keep going off. Like, I don't know why they searched Rabina here, actually. They could have searched, like, a Stree or a Token and actually kept comboing. Like, they would have got, I don't know if they would have had another bird to go into after that, but I feel like that would have been better than just the extra Rabina here, right? Yeah, I'm definitely going to use the Draco back on the back row. Opponent's got an Icarus attack. I'm just going to go ahead and negate it with the Gryphon Rider, especially because my opponent's given up their only monster on the board to use this. I'm really not particularly concerned about, you know, what they're going to be doing. And I mean, at this point, it's also just as simple as turning everything to attack mode. Yeah, literally like I'm doing right now, and then entering battle phase. And sure enough, that is going to end up being more than enough to finish the opponent off here. Well, not that much more than enough, but 500 more than enough. Alright, so that is that one. Let's go ahead and take a look at the next game. So this is going to be, like I alluded to earlier, yet another game against Flaunderies. I actually thought back about it between games, and I don't even think I intended to keep these games to show playing against Floodgates, but, well, I guess, or not Floodgates, Stun decks, rather. But, well, I'm definitely glad that I did. So, going second here, opening a very good hand against Fluanders. You've got Ash and Imperm. They're going to lead to the Dimension Shifter. That is actually going to be really annoying because it means I can't do my Prank-Kids combo on my turn. Prank-Kids do need to go to the graveyard in order to get their effects, so no comboing for me next turn, but, you know, at the very least I was able to Ash their Prosperity, and they actually don't even have a follow-up here, so now I know they're not only relying on top-decking a bird, but they're going to have to go through my Droplet and my Imperm in order to get to it, and even though my stuff is getting banished, I can still make the DPE here. So we can definitely still go for that as well, get a decent bit of damage as well as just applying some pressure on the board. I'll drop down both the Imperm and the Droplet, of course. I want to use the Imperm before the Droplet because I don't really want to send any of this stuff with Droplet. I'll let the Imperm resolve here. I'm not worried about it at all. Opponent's got an Evenly. That's fine. I'll actually get rid of the Imperm here because I was thinking that they had actually done this in order to play around my negates, and that might have even been the case, I don't know, but it just seemed a little suspicious to me to Imperm and then Evenly. Well, I mean, it's not that suspicious, right? Obviously, the main reason to do it would be to make sure that I don't respond to Evenly with DPE's effect on itself on one of my back row, and then I get the DPE back. That's obviously the main reason for my opponent to do it, but again, I actually allowed the DPE to get banished and kept the Imperm because I suspected, you know, there's just a world where my opponent normal summons Rabina main phase 2, right? And I didn't want to live in that world where I really regretted not keeping one of my negates, but, and also I figured, you know, my opponent doesn't have another Dimension Shifter, I can just combo next turn. I don't think I'll be able to lethal next turn, but I think I'll still be able to secure the win by doing a Prank-Kids combo next turn. Especially if my opponent isn't doing anything. I just wanted to make sure that I had the Imperm to ensure that they would continue not doing anything at all here. So it might have looked a little weird for me to banish DP with the, what do you call it, the Evenly there, but that is the reason I did it. And then, yeah, we get the Rite of Aramesir, and of course that's going to be far more than enough. Just casually peeling that off the top of the deck because we're, you know, the luckiest player in the world. Not that we need a lot of luck to continue the game from there, or to win the game from there, that is, so. Alright, let's go and take a look at the last game here. The last game we're going to feature was also my last game before getting into Diamond. This is going to be against an Eldritch deck. And I think we do actually end up playing through some active Floodgates in this game, if I do recall correctly. So, yeah, we're going to take the first turn here. Got a couple of Prank-Kids in hand. Oh yeah, this is when I was still playing 2 Rocksies and I was playing a 41 card deck. I thought that came up for one of the games. I thought I remembered that being the case, so... yeah, that is going to be the case for this game. We were playing the 41 card variant with the extra Roxies still in the deck, but I guess this was also like one of the games that kind of made me realize. I mean, of course, it's you shouldn't base a whole decision on one game where you open 2 copies of the card that you don't need, but I'd already been thinking about going down to 1 Rocksies in general, and I was like, this was actually kind of a reminder, because I was going to make the change, but then I forgot to do it before I started playing games, and then I opened this hand, and I was like, oh yeah, I was going to take out one of the Rocksies. Let's go ahead and do that. Oh yeah, I also ended up doing the 1 Prank Kid line here. That's really weird, because even though I opened 2 Rocksies, I still should be able to do the 2 Prank Kid lines, so... I think what happened was that I started to do it, because this happens to me every now and then, where like, you know, I'll start to do, because the 1 and 2 Prank Kid lines both start the same way, right? But my brain kind of defaults to the 1 Prank Kid line, so sometimes I'll do that and it'll be too late before I realize, like, oh, I don't have this set up now. But this actually ended up working out because we ended up getting the Fusion Destiny. Just, again, casually peeling it off the top because we're the luckiest player in the world. So it actually ended up working out in that regard. I mean, it'd still be nice to have a Ripborn Roaster out, of course. But yeah, I've seen some people say they don't play Ripborn Roaster. I've touched on this actually in previous Prank Kids videos. Oh my god, I'm getting Maxx in addition to the Ash. Like, what a lucky draw. I've seen some people touch on the fact that they don't play Ripborn Roaster because there's not that many back row heavy decks running around it. I agree that there's not that many super back row heavy decks running around, but that said, I think there's enough Fateful Adventures running around that it definitely makes sense to, in my opinion, it definitely makes a lot of sense to still play the Ripborn Roaster, just to have that bit of disruption, in addition to all of your other disruption that you already have. Alright, so yeah, here we are getting the Battle Butler out during the opponent's turn. Gonna summon multiple Prank Kits in the deck. Definitely gonna summon 2 Dropsies as well so that we can potentially go into Totally Awesome during our next turn. Opponent lays down 5 back rows, Jesus, and then passes. I'll use the Imperm to pop one of them randomly. Fortunately, we hit a summon limit, so we definitely like to see that. And this is also going to be another good kind of selling point, I guess, to why I really like Totally Awesome in the deck, because yeah, it's usually enough to win just by, you know, doing your line and resolving the Battle Butler during your opponent's turn, but you just still need to think about, you know, if your opponent doesn't concede on their turn, actually finishing the game out during the next turn. And Totally Awesome is that great layer of insurance that allows you to do that. So now the only thing I'm really not super thrilled about running into here is a Solemn Judgment, but my opponent doesn't seem to have it by this point. And honestly, I already have more than enough damage on board, but given that my opponent does have 4 back row and I only have the 1 Omni Negate, I still do want to play my combo out, just to play cautiously, just to make sure that, again, I'm covering my bases and that in case my opponent is able to completely still out my board, because it might not seem, you know, you might look at this board and be like, well, how could they out a board like this? I mean, it's definitely, it's more than just possible. It's a scary I don't want to say probability. It's a scary possibility, you know, when it comes to your opponent having this many back rows. So I kind of want to pick my opponent's back row off one by one as much as possible here. That's why I led with DPE, and now I'm going to Knightmare Unicorn. I have the Ash for their Scarlet Sanguine, so that's nice. And then I get to Maxx to get a draw off of this golden tiger thing. But then the opponent concedes. I mean, here if I needed to, I could still go into Accesscode Talker. I'm trying to think, did I use the Prank-Kids Pranks? Because I don't know if I did. Let me take a look here. Like, did I use the effect to get a token is what I'm wondering. No, I didn't. Yeah, so that was my plan there. I thought I was remembering that right. Yeah, so my plan was, if my opponent didn't concede there, to activate Pranks, discard place, get a token, use the token, make a Link Spider, Unicorn into Accesscode, and then just pick off the rest of their back row to ensure that I can swing for lethal without having to run into any dumbness. So, alright, that's it for the games. Let's go ahead now to the outro. Alright, my friends, that is going to do it for this video. I thank you very much for watching to the very end like this. That super means a lot to me, not just personally, but also means a lot to the channel for support as well. Of course, I also love seeing comments and subscribers, naturally, this being YouTube and all. The comments I do especially love seeing because I talk about it all the time because I feel it's a very important point to make that as far as I'm concerned, this is a community-driven channel. I love seeing your guys' feedback. It not only helps me improve as a player, but those of you who chime in to offer like, oh, with this line you could have actually done this play. That also helps the people who are watching the video for gameplay, I guess, advice and tips as well. So it doesn't just come from me, it definitely comes from the comments as well. And I do like to brag that I think I do have one of the better comment sections I've seen on YouTube. I'm not even just saying that, I genuinely mean that too. You guys are awesome, and I definitely would not be doing this without your support. So thank you very, very much. Subscribing, like I said, another great way to support the channel, and that will get you notifications on when my content drops, which is every single day. So you do have that to look forward to here with Hexlex, the channel. I never say it like that, that's why I kind of hesitated there at the end, but c'est la vie. In any case, I'm going to go ahead and sign off. Thank you very much for watching. This is Hexlex. Hope you have a fantastic day.